The South Alabama Jaguars baseball team has some new digs. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. We kick off our 2025 Sunbelt baseball preview with the head coach of the South Alabama Jaguars. We talk about their new digs, and there's a lot more than just getting a turf field. It's about practice. It's about getting ready for the season, and it's not just about rainouts during the season. So we have a nice discussion with Mark Calvi about that. We talk about the new world that is college baseball. And we discussed that with the NIL and the portal. And we talk about what's gone wrong with South Alabama since they won the Sun Belt Championship in 2021. Just missed winning the Gainesville Regional. They took down the Florida Gators, but could not get past the Miami Hurricanes, I believe. And they just fell short in 2022, and it's been a couple of rough seasons since then, but he likes the team for 2025, and he thinks defensively with that turf they will be better. Let's get it going. He is the head coach of the South Alabama Jaguars. He is Mark Calvi, and he is Locked On Sunbelt. Welcome to another edition of Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Let's start it off with the 2025 preview of Sunbelt baseball. First up, the head coach of the South Alabama Jaguars. He is Mark Calvi, and we have questions. You could start off the field, on the field, but with South Alabama, it is actually the field. They got a new turf field at Stanky Field, as it turns out. Mark, always great to see you. Tell us about the new turf field, and what does that mean for the South Alabama program?
Well, first of all, thanks, Dave, for having me on. It's always a pleasure. It means everything to us. I'll give you a simple, short, quick answer. We have lost 25% of our practice days, and we cancel. We end up playing a lot of doubleheaders, which hurts, like from a fan engagement standpoint, a gate standpoint. It just heightens the chance of injuries. When a kid has to play 18 innings and in one day, like stands to reason, hamstrings, a higher chance of injury. But it's just the 25% of our practice days either get rained out or altered. And now it's just going to be for lightning or if a front is over us. And I'm going to say 95% of that 25%, maybe 50% of that 25% were days that it cleared up, but the damage had been done already. Where if we're on turf, we're on the field easily, maybe even higher than that. So, but yeah, we're missing. If we have 132 days, we're either canceled or altering. It was like 25 to 30 of those days. That's a lot of days, man. That's a lot of development. Those are a lot of days that guys aren't getting ground balls. But now, we have not missed one day. We had 9 inches of snow here a couple weeks ago, and on the old field, Dave. Hey, and it was right. Wouldn't you know it too? It was the week before we were allowed to start, and so it was fine. But if we have if we have the old field, the old surface, that first weekend is out, and I'm telling you, the second weekend that we're allowed to practice would have been in jeopardy. But with the new field, with the new turf, by Thursday night, the snow had melted off. Friday, our first official day, we were on the field. We inter-squatted, and with the old field, we would have just been getting on it. It would have taken us over a week to get on there. So big difference. It's just clean. I know the managers love it. They're not, the dirt is kind of out of the question. The balls last longer. No bad hops. It's just the setup and breakdown is so much quicker. It's just, man, it's great to have. And in the rainiest city in America, it's almost you got to have it. And I'm a natural surface guy. You know that. Sure. I am not a fan of turf, but in Mobile, you got to have it.
Well, for college, you kind of have to have it. Is the mound? So, a lot of college, stadiums is the mound dirt? Because that's usually the only thing that is like the Cajuns, it's all turf, except the mound is dirt.
Yeah, I talked to some veterans like Scott Berry, who was a natural surface guy his whole life like me. And he said, Mark, when you go turf, he said, turf everything. Don't get cute. Don't think I want to be a traditional. Let's do the dirt mound. He said, don't have dirt anywhere. If you turf it, turf everything. So that's what we did. We turfed the mound, home plate, the bullpens, everything. There isn't a drop of dirt on this field. And I kind of thought about maybe keeping one of the mounds dirt over there in case, because we do play some teams that I think we have 7. I think we play 7 games on natural surface this year. Isn't that crazy?
Right.
That's crazy. Almost everyone's on turf. I never thought it would be that way. So I just said, you know what? These guys understand. They have their molded spikes, which are plastic. They have their metal spikes on dirt. You're not going to forget how to throw on dirt. So we just kept dirt out of here, man. It's as clean as a whistle, and I love it.
All right. So the first thing that would come to me when playing on turf, do you tell like the guys on the left side of the infield, you guys can practice, if you're in the hole, you can practice throwing it where it takes a hop and the first baseman's going to get a true hop. You don't have to sail it to him in the air the whole way. You can actually, you don't want to bounce it, but you can make it to where, he's going to get a hop and it's going to be a true hop, 95% of the time.
Absolutely. We actually work on, so that ball that takes you in the hole that you don't have a lot of time where, yes, a guy typically you don't have time to shuffle your feet on the left side. Third baseman, obviously towards the line, shortstop, moving towards the hole, the 6 hole. We do it where they work on their long hops to the first baseman. Like we actually like that. If you need to do that because, and
Right.
That's a benefit of having turf. You get that true hop. You can long hop them from the infield. And we actually work on that instead of sailing it over their head or giving them the in-between hop. We work on long hops all the time. No, there's a skill to it.
And the first baseman's got to know, I'm not worried about having this hitting a rock and hitting him in the face.
For sure, which is what we dealt with the whole time.
Yeah.
So, we'd do pick drills with the first baseman, and a lot of times I would handle it, and I'm just like, you're in dirt, and as soon as they pick a couple, that dirt starts getting choppy, and here comes, the nose over you just got to be aware of, you don't want to get anyone hurt, but you got to it's one of those necessary evils. It's like, we've got to rep this, but understand for every inherent benefit, there's an inherent risk. And there still is on turf, but that risk of getting the ball, off the beak goes down considerably.
But even the big leaguers, they're doing the short hop with the glove, but the head is turning the other direction, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's just, as much as you rep it, that's just going to be reflex.
It's human nature, no one but here these guys can, they can really stick their nose in there. They're going to get a true hop, and it makes for a better defensive game. I'll be honest with you. It really has. And typically, defense is kind of a calling card here. And I think in our 3 weeks of inter squads, we're feeling about 985 right now. If we can do that, I know that may be an unrealistic number in college baseball, but we're looking to do that. Here it's 975 to 980. 975 is the floor on natural surface. I think we were 976 last year and probably led the league in fielding, or we should have being a natural surface team. I think someone was a little bit higher, but they were turf. So I think now that floor has been raised. I think we can be a 980 and above fielding team. I really do, Dave.
And so how many runs does that save, for every percentage point? You probably know that.
Man, you know what? I don't know the answer to that. I know there's a category for everything. I can probably click a button. No pun intended,
but you got a ballpark figure for that?
I would probably say maybe a half a run a game, that's
big.
That's big, man. That's big. And you prorate that over the course of the season.
Or just the weekend.
Big. It's really big. Yeah. And again, the injury factor is down. Our third baseman the first day of the fall took a ball right off the nose, took his nose and put it over here. And, you get that on natural surfaces sometimes, especially with a climate like this. But, man, there isn't a bad hop out there, Dave. Right. There isn't a bad hop on that field. And our guys are just – and I told them, I said, the key to this, I'm like, we stress defense so much, especially in the infield. And I'm like, man, you guys cannot get lazy here. We play on natural surfaces. I need you guys to have a natural surface approach on synthetic surface. This way we make all our routine plays on synthetic. And when we go to dirt, we're not that lazy turf infielder that, oh no, no way the ball can hop on me. Like I want guys like playing it like as low to the ground as they can, taking nothing for granted. Because as soon as you take it for granted, oh, we're on turf, you get on a natural field, you get up to Birmingham or you get to Montgomery against Auburn, and guys are a little bit sloppy on natural surface. So that's my concern, but we're aware of it every single day.
Okay, so we did the plus where they can, make those nice hops on the other side. If they wait for the ball to bounce, it's going to take a high hop on them, and a single can turn into a double, or worse, it can bounce over their heads
easily. So it's been a transition. Every turf field plays a little bit differently. They're very similar. Ours, we got like medium speed. It doesn't play fast. The thing that I've noticed with our field, slow balls, like a slow roller or a slow ball rolling on the green, slows down literally at twice the rate as it did on regular grass. Now, a ball that's hit hard, it goes through the infield hard. It doesn't get slowed down. The medium ground ball gets slowed down faster than the medium ground ball on natural, but it's the slow ball slows down at a rate. Like, I was really surprised at how much quicker the ball slows and can actually stop on the infield. Like a bunt,
Sure.
Like we've actually had to kind of change our positioning, especially with our third baseman on bunts. We've instead of like a step on the grass or during one of our bunt plays, they're actually kind of 3 steps in because it really does slow it down.
Now, you are going to have to play on this, right? The whole idea of playing on this turf, and we're talking with Mark Calvi, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day, head coach of the South Alabama Jaguars. So the whole idea of playing on this is you're going to play because it's wet, all right? It's not flooded, but it's wet. So do you practice? You're going to, you're not going to flood the turf, but you're going to play on it when it's wet, so it's going to skid through the infield somewhere along the way. Do you practice on that? Is there a way you can simulate that?
Yeah, no, we've had it where it's been a little bit wet. It's misty. It's misted a little bit, and the turf, the turf blades get a little bit wet, which, here as it starts to warm up, that night game, you get dew on the grass, or at the end of a ball game, we're going to have it here. So, yeah, our guys, whenever we can get on this field, especially even when it's a little bit wet, the better. Sure. The better. They just got to, they're still, just because it's turf, it's not foolproof. Like, it still gets wet, and you're just not dealing with puddles or mud. But the ball's still going to get wet, and you got to know how to play defense. You got to know how to handle a wet ball. And that's okay. I got to make sure the long throws probably don't exist anymore, and I'm going to make sure I hit my cut. I'm not going to get sloppy with the baseball. What I tell guys is I don't want them to ever miss high, especially when the ball's wet. Don't miss high. Miss low with our cut throws. Like, when balls gets overthrown, that's when things really start happening. So bad things start happening for us defensively. So when the ball's wet, we're going to miss a little bit more low than high, and that's kind of what we preach.
Yeah, but just like cars, right? It's amazing, on wet grass, it slows down, but on wet turf, it'll hydroplane and split the outfielders.
It can. It really can. Yes, it here. And again, this isn't fast turf, but when it is wet, you'll see the ball skip a little bit. Yes, and so that's something, especially like plays at the plate, that hard ball hit to the outfield, you got to get down on a knee and block it or make sure it doesn't get by you. Catchers, it's going to get on you a little bit more quick. So we've repped that on days where it's been a little bit wet.
Let's take a time out. We'll continue our conversation with Mark Calvi. He'll talk about the college landscape and how it has changed with NIL and the transfer portal and what it has meant for college baseball. We'll do that right after I tell you about WayFair. After the holiday hustle, there's nothing like giving your home a little TLC. I always find that decluttering and refreshing my space helps me get back into a little routine. Whether you're tidying up, clearing out, or just want to give your space a new look, to start the year, WayFair has everything you need, all within your budget. I'm currently looking for furniture, and huge selection makes it easy to find pieces that fit my style and my budget. Just to let you know, that shelf over there, WayFair. Yeah, bought that back in Lafayette. The desk that I'm working on, WayFair, just to let you know. My favorite part is the free and hassle-free delivery, even for the larger items. WayFair's site was so easy to navigate, and I found everything I needed in no time. There's something for every single style and every home, no matter your space or budget. Give your home that refresh it needs with WayFair. With WayFair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. We did get, we recorded 5. We already have, I think, 6th and maybe 7th coach to get recorded for the Sunbelt preview for baseball. And I have a feeling when the SIDs see the interviews roll out, we'll get a lot of them, hopefully all of them, in the next week or two, at least recorded, and then we'll roll them out when we can. All right, let's continue our conversation with Mark Calvi. He is the head coach of the South Alabama Jaguars, and he talks about the changing landscape in college baseball. He's Mark Calvi, head baseball coach of the South Alabama Jaguars. Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, changing landscape in college baseball, NIL, transfer portal. How have you attacked it? How have you changed your approach?
That's a good question. NIL, we're raising some money. We've got a little bit, not a whole lot. I'm constantly trying to raise more. It has helped. I'm not against it. I'm against it without guardrails, but I think it's good. But when you got some teams giving $2 million and some teams have nothing, it's the college baseball is a bunch of haves and have-nots. It really is. That, and there's some teams that you get some Power 5 teams where, let's say, one of their juniors gets drafted and they offer him $100,000, and the kid doesn't want to go for whatever reason. He's academically oriented. He loves where he's at. He doesn't want to go, but he's like, I'm not going to get this next year. Well, there's some schools that are like, listen, we'll give you $150. Come on back. You'll sign next year. You'll get $25,000, and you'll be ahead. You'll be ahead of the curve. You'll come out with more money. You're still going to play pro ball, God willing, if you're healthy, and but you're going to come out with another $50,000 in your pocket. And those kids are like, that makes sense. I think I'll come back to LSU for another year. Whereas our guys, they're signing. I mean, right. It's just so. From that standpoint, again, there just needs to be some guardrails on it. I'm okay with guys making money. It's just it's out of hand with some places. It's out of hand. I won't, it is. It's a little crazy. It's kind of the Wild West again. There just needs to be guardrails. There need to be some rules. There needs to be restrictions. It needs to be governed better. It just does. So that, and the transfer portal, again, I'm okay with the transfer portal. We have been the benefactor. We haven't really lost anyone yet. We've gotten some good guys in. But to me, Dave, when you add the transfer portal and really no rules, with the NIL with really no rules, you got some issues. You just got some issues because trust me, there are big schools out there that have the mid-major board up in their office. They got 50 names on the board of possible mid-majors that they would like to poach.
Right.
And that's just that's not healthy. That's not right. And that's what's going on everywhere in college baseball. That's what's going on.
Well, my 2 cents is eventually whoever the powers to be are, and right now I don't trust the NCAA because they couldn't get you out of a jaywalking ticket.
No.
So they need to come to an agreement with the players. But right now, Mark, the way it is all set up, maybe you're good enough to play college baseball, but not necessarily good enough to play pro baseball. And those are 2 different things. And maybe you're good enough to play pro baseball, but not necessarily get to the big leagues. And again, that's 2 different things as well.
Right.
But the way it's set up, you could find yourself going to junior college, sit out a year, redshirt a year, go to 4 years or 5 years of regular college, and take all those years. You could find yourself graduating law school, have it all paid for, and have a couple $100,000 in the bank. You graduate law school, you're 25 years old, and you can buy a house.
Yep. No, you got that right. I mean, look at, let's say, Jaden Milroe. I mean, he's making $4 to $5 million a year.
Right. So
these guys, you look at the issue at Texas. You got Ewers and you got Arch Manning. Manning has, Ewing he's got a year left, but he's making $4, $5, $6 million. Arch Manning is making money, and Ewing, he might go to somebody else. It won't shock me to open up room for Arch Manning, and he's going to make another $5 million at, let's say, Ohio State or somewhere, right? And these kids are coming out of school, and yes, what you said. I mean, they've made $10 million playing college football, or they've made $500,000 playing college baseball. And I think to a degree that's healthy, because a lot of these kids, they're making so much money for these schools, certain schools, that I do think there should be some compensation. But again, it's got to go back to the guardrails. It just does.
Right.
You know, and I get it. There's not as much there's not as much urgency to go sign and play pro ball to get that 200,000 or to get that 2 million, because they're like, well, why would I want to go be on the practice squad on some NFL team and make the league minimum when I can make 4 million again? Right? Think about Ewers. If he gets drafted, he's going to go in the 4th round, and he's going to make league minimum, and he's going to hold a clipboard for a while. Instead, he can go somewhere or stay at Texas, be the big man on campus, make another 4 or 5 million, graduate or get a second degree, and then sign as a free agent, and he's going to come out ahead. You know, so I get it.
Yep.
But there are some very unhealthy factors in college athletics right now. You know what I'm talking about.
There are. But all of that needs to be negotiated with the players, and so you can stop the lawsuits. Because again, don't trust the NCAA to get me out of a jaywalking ticket. Meanwhile, you know, being able to win a lawsuit against all the players. All right, we're just kicking off our Sunbelt baseball preview. Hopefully you'll stick with us. As I mentioned, we already have, as they say, 5 interviews in the can. We should have a 6th one coming up. And again, I just think that when the other schools see us talking to the coaches, and some I don't know and I just met for the first time. So it's one thing to talk to a Matt Deggs. It's another thing to talk to a Mark Calvi. And it's another thing to talk to a Greg Beals from Marshall for the first time, and a Mike Silva at Arkansas State for the first time. So it's great to get to know these guys and to see how, Greg Beals has been doing this a really long time, and Mike Silva has kind of been coaching for a long time, but he's kind of up and coming and actually back into the Sun Belt, but now as a head coach. So really looking forward to all of these interviews. It was good. It's fun to get to know some of these guys and to hear about their teams, and looking forward to the season. So it is quickly coming upon us. We are in crossover season. Softball started this past weekend. Baseball started. This is starting this weekend. And of course, we have 4 weeks from yesterday, we will crown a Sunbelt basketball champion. So there is a lot going on. We know that MAC challenge didn't go the Sunbelt's way this past weekend, but really appreciate it. We're almost at 1,865. So keep those subscribers going. I'm told the best way to help us out is make those comments, because I will reply to the comments. And I think the more comments we have, the more people that comment, and the more times I reply, the more people see it. So I think that helps us out. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Let's wrap up our conversation with the head coach of the South Alabama Jaguars, Mark Calvi. He tells us about the improvements he's hoping for from his baseball club in 2025. All right, a couple more questions for Mark Calvi, head coach of South Alabama, previewing the 2025 college baseball season. South Alabama, the 2021 Sun Belt champion. So it's been a minute since the Jaguars have contended in the Sun Belt. What are you looking to improve on here in 2025? Because the Sun Belt's been really good, right? Got 4 teams in the college NCAA tournament last year, and Troy was not one of them. So Troy had a really good season, but somehow maybe the Coastal Carolina got the sentimental bid instead of Troy. JMU got in there as well, and Southern Miss was the tournament team, and obviously the Cajuns were the regular season team.
Right.
So I think it's great that you don't have to have one good weekend like basketball to get in. So there are at-large berths, but you have to have a good season to get in. What are you looking to improve on over the last couple of years?
Well, 21 we won it, and we were probably a hit away from a super regional. 22 we started out 15-3 and ranked in the top 25, and we lost our number 1 and number 2 pitchers, and we finished 5th that year in 22. The league took 4 teams, and if we're healthy, I thought we were a host team in 22. We hit 302 as a team. We fielded 978, and we still had Miles Smith and Jeremy Lee. When those guys went down, week 3 and week 5 respectively, it really hurt us. We got walked off 8 times. You and I talked about that. Relievers were now starting. It was just a tough reshuffling of the deck. We were, I think, 16-3 at some point. And we finished 32-27. You can do the math. It was tough. There's a fine line, especially in this league, man. And when you start, the key for us, obviously, and 23.
Just to let people know, at 15-3, he didn't have the gray in the beard. After the 15-3 start is when the gray in the beard appeared.
No doubt. No doubt. I need to be on NIL with Grecian formula because yes, when Miles Smith went down and Jeremy Lee went down, the gray started coming into the beard. But 23, we just weren't good enough. Last year we had a postseason roster. We had a couple of our main guys underachieve a little bit. You know, Sullivan broke his hand and was up and down, and we had some guys drafted. Swilling our Friday night guy missed the last 6 weeks of the season. That killed us. Some of our better guys struggled a little bit offensively. I think we finished maybe 3rd or 4th in a very good league in pitching, and 1st or 2nd in fielding. So we had some of the metrics to be a postseason club, and we had the talent, and we had a bunch of top 50 wins. We lost some 100 or 150 to 300, 250 RPI games, but top 50, we had a bunch of, we beat Mississippi State on the road, beat Alabama on the road, should have beat Auburn. We lost 2-1, but we didn't. Beat Nebraska on the road, had a chance to take 2. We had, at times, we were a very, very good club. We were just I don't even want to say inconsistent offensively. The offense never really showed up. Pitching was good. Defense was good. The offense just didn't show up. So we had a very small margin for error. This year, I see we're ranked. We're picked to finish 10th, and I get that. I've never been excited when we've been picked to finish first, and I've never been down when we haven't been picked to finish first. It's just polls are polls, and I understand that. We lost our Friday and Saturday starter, one to the draft, one to graduation. We had 2 really good relievers, one to pro ball, the other one to graduation. We lost Sullivan, Turner. We lost some good guys. So we kind of have some no names out there, but some really good players. I think we've done a really good job recruiting. And, we have a brand new rotation, but we have a couple guys like Jackson Shineflew and Zach Stevens who pitched considerably as freshmen with some experience, and they'll be at the top of the rotation. So it's kind of retooling. It's retooling the pitching staff. I think we're more physical. I think we'll be more offensive this year. Our defense has been very good, but there are new faces everywhere. Now we've got some returners behind the plate. Ethan Melton is back, who arguably was a freshman All-American through the first 30 games, was hitting 360. Hit the wall at Troy, literally and figuratively. Hit the wall at Troy, flipped over, and then kind of hit the wall as a freshman and struggled the back half of the season. But looked like a freshman All-American for 30 games. That was more than a fluke. 30 games is more than a fluke. And then I kind of hit that freshman wall. But, yeah, there's some new guys. There's some talented guys. There's some new faces. There's some unheralded guys that, you don't really know about that are good players. I like the team. They work extremely hard. It's all going to go on the mound. It starts and stops on the mound. I think we'll have enough offense this year. We have enough depth defensively. We can move some guys around. We have some versatility. Obviously, last year we had 2 really good guys at the back end. I think we were 24-2 with the lead after 6, with Wood and Starling back there, Wash and Diaz, the 2 lefties. So we've got to retool that. I like some of the bridge guys. We have some 2 to 4 pitch long reliever / bridge guys to get you from the starter to the leverage guys. I kind of like what we have there. And then some guys are emerging as those leverage relievers, those last 3 to 6 out relievers. There's some guys that are starting to emerge as guys that I'm feeling good with.
I take those preseason polls with a grain of salt because it's the coaches, and you guys don't even know what you guys have for your own teams.
Dave, especially with the portal now, I couldn't tell you. It used to be you knew Troy knew who we had coming in. We knew who they had coming in. You can't follow it.
You guys don't even know what you have.
No,
yet,
if you're following it, yeah, and if you're following it, that means you're spending too much time on other people's teams and not your own.
Right.
So it's so hard to predict who has what. Yeah, you hear of this and that and the portal and some bigger names, but there's some other pieces that you don't know. I just don't know. You know the signing classes because those are publicated, but you don't know who's got who coming into the year. You really don't anymore.
Well, a good example would be the Cajuns' Friday night starter turned out to be their closer. So he didn't even know his own team last year. Meanwhile, knowing someone else's team. So
that's right.
That's
right. No, I mean, absolutely. So I know UL, they're going to be good. They are going to be good. I know some of the pickups they've got.
They got a Friday night starter. Well, that would be the thing I want to talk about because I know besides the money in the portal, and I can't tell you how disappointed I was, Mark, going to the College Station regional because I'm just, I think A&M is overrated and everything. How nice the people were there at College Station because, they don't deserve anything and they were super nice there. Yeah. But just during the meetings on the mound, how much bigger Texas and A&M were than the Cajuns. Cajuns had a couple of guys that had size, but not many. And then just even the middle relievers coming out of the bullpen were just bigger. And it feels like for a Sun Belt team to compete, you guys almost need 2 Friday night guys to get you through a regional to get to a super regional.
You do.
How do you measure that up? Because in the Cajuns, they scheduled themselves to where they did. All right. They didn't schedule they had an easy schedule last year and they won, but they tired themselves out and couldn't compete in the Sun Belt Conference tournament and they 2-out.
Yeah.
And so how do you measure yourself to where, all right, maybe we don't have to win that game. So we're ready to go at the end of the season. How do you measure yourself when that happens?
For us, I think I know where you're going. For us, it's been the ability to finally get some high school kids in here. We've been super successful with having high school position players grow up in the program. There's a laundry list of kids that have come in kind of unheralded that grew up in this program and then were draft picks playing pro ball or All-Americans. Donovan, Swaggerty, Patterson, Wilson, the list goes on and on. What we haven't had was the ability, and not that we didn't recruit them, we were on them, but pitchers that grow up in this program like we've had hitters. This is the first year, really, since I've been here, that right now, if Shine Flu and Stevens are Friday and Saturday, we've never, as sophomores, we've never had high school kids like anchor down the rotation like we might have this year. It's been a transfer. It's been some JUCO guys. We just haven't had the high school pitchers grow up in the program that we're starting to have right now. And that was something that was kind of the class of 21 when we lost in that regional. I'm like, we have got to have kids on the mound that grow up in this program that take their lumps as freshmen. Okay, you got the 7 or 8 ERA, you pitch summer ball, you get 20 innings, you go off, and next thing you know, that guy that couldn't handle it is now a Sunday guy or a Tuesday guy or one of your main relievers. So we're starting to get that right now. Shine Flu, Stevens, there's some good young guys that have pitched in the program last year. Stevens was coming off Tommy John. I give him a lot of credit for what he did last year, but for us, if we break through to a super, if we get to one of those Power Fives, it's going to be because we had the high school kids grow up. Or maybe, like last year with Swilling was a legit guy. He could go up against anybody. He was a Power 5 guy, pitched in Omaha. Hell, he helped pitch Auburn to Omaha. He was good enough. We were fortunate enough to get him in the portal. And it, unfortunately, he had the bicep tendonitis and missed the last 6 weeks. So it's going to be a combination of us getting the right guy in the portal and then us having some kids grow up on the mound here in the program. That's how, for me, in my opinion, that's how we've been to regionals, but breaking through, winning that championship game, you got to have some kids that have been in the program, not just first-year guys or JUCO guys.
Yeah, I think everybody's got a Friday night guy, and so that could be an error or a bad walk or maybe a bad call. So those games could be 2-1, but it's having that next guy because the Power 5 guys have that next guy. So you got to have that next guy to compete. He's Mark Calvi, head coach
Absolutely.
of the South Alabama Jaguars. Please wear that helmet. Please take care. Watching the game outside the dugout. I know you're going to take one off of the shoulder. You won't rub it. Please keep your head on a swivel. All right. Please take care of yourself. Please do not get hit in the head. All right. I know you won't stay in the dugout.
I got you. No, I won't. But I'm getting quicker. I'm moving around. I'm the head's on a swivel like Ron Burgundy.
I appreciate it, Coach. Thanks so much for hopping on Locked On Sunbelt. Best of luck this season.
Always a pleasure seeing you, Dave. My best. I'll talk to you soon.